Welcome to a new DigitrendZ DeepDive, and today we're going to look at the evolution of radio.
Radio.
Yeah, like, back in the day we had those big clunky boxes with the antennas and the dials, and like radio, it felt magical, Rand. It's like this window to the world.
It's true. It really was kind of like this voice coming in from somewhere else completely different, and it was right there in your living room.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a really intimate experience in a way.
Yeah.
But, things have obviously changed a lot since then. So how did we get from those crackly AM signals to like the kind of on-demand global listening experience we have today?
Well, I think the internet obviously had a huge impact, right? But even before that, just like personal computers started to change things because suddenly you didn't have to be limited by geography anymore.
Right. You could listen to a station on the other side of the world.
Exactly. You could be like in a small town and tune into like a radio station in, I don't know, Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing, but a lot of radio stations weren't quite ready for that kind of shift.
Yeah, they were used to being the gatekeepers,
right?
Like they decided what you listened to and when.
Totally. Yeah, they had their schedules and their programming, and they weren't really set up for this idea of on-demand listening.
Right, like we wanted to be able to choose what we listened to and when we wanted podcasts and
right.
all that stuff.
And that's where like Spotify and YouTube Music and Anghami came in and kind of blew everything wide open.
They were just radio stations though, right?
Yeah.
They were like curators.
Exactly.
Wow.
They were using algorithms to figure out what you liked and then giving you more of that.
Yeah, like Spotify felt like it was making you a mixtape.
Yeah.
Just for you.
It was like having a friend who knew your taste in music perfectly.
And YouTube Music was cool because it brought in the visuals too.
Yeah, it was like a whole new dimension of music discovery.
And Anghami was interesting because they really focused on regional tastes.
Right. They showed that personalization could work alongside cultural relevance.
So while all this was happening, traditional radio stations were kind of scrambling to keep up.
Yeah, they realized they couldn't just rely on live broadcasts anymore. They had to figure out how to create digital experiences and connect with listeners on social media.
It was like adapt or die, basically.
Pretty much.
But how did this shift to digital affect advertising? Because that was how traditional radio made its money.
That's a great question because the old model of just interrupting broadcasts with generic ads just didn't work anymore.
Right, people could just skip or switch to a different app.
Exactly. So advertisers had to get a lot more creative.
So what do they do?
Well, they started using things like digital marketing and programmatic advertising, which is basically using algorithms to buy and sell ad space automatically.
So they could target their ads to specific groups of listeners?
Exactly. They could use data to figure out who was most likely to be interested in their product and then serve them ads that were actually relevant.
Wow, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, Spotify was really good at this. They were delivering ads that were so relevant it felt like they were reading your mind.
Creepy.
But effective.
Definitely. And Anghami was doing some interesting things too. They were integrating ads into their streams in a way that felt really natural.
So even traditional radio stations had to start adapting. They started using social media to connect with listeners and promote their shows.
It was like everyone had to figure out how to play in this new digital world.
So we went from being passive listeners to active participants in a way.
Absolutely. We had more control over our listening experience than ever before.
And that had a huge impact on storytelling too, especially with podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts went from being just recordings of radio shows to something much deeper and more nuanced.
They allowed for a level of intimacy and depth that traditional radio just couldn't match.
Yeah, it felt like you were having a conversation with a friend.
And the variety was incredible. There was a podcast for every interest imaginable. Exactly. Podcasts really democratized audio content creation. Anyone with a microphone and a story to tell could become a podcaster.
But with so much choice out there, it became harder to find the good stuff.
Yeah, curation became even more important in the digital age.
So algorithms started to play a bigger role in helping us find content that we might like.
Right. It was like having a personal DJ who knew your taste inside and out.
But that also raised some concerns about echo chambers.
Yeah, if we're not careful, algorithms can limit our exposure to different viewpoints and stifle intellectual curiosity.
So we have to be mindful of what we're consuming and make sure we're not just getting stuck in a bubble.
Absolutely. We need to actively seek out diverse voices and perspectives and challenge our own assumptions.
It's about taking control of our own listening experience and not just letting the algorithms decide for us.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a real balancing act, isn't it?
It is, and it's something we've talked about before on the show, like these echo chambers where we only hear things that reinforce our existing beliefs.
Right. And it feels like personalized algorithms could make that problem even worse.
Yeah, because they're designed to keep us engaged,
Right.
to keep us listening and clicking and watching.
Exactly. But that can come at the expense of exposure to different perspectives. And if we're not careful, we can end up just reinforcing our own biases.
So how do we break free from these filter bubbles? Is it just about being more mindful of what we're listening to?
It's definitely a good place to start. We
Hmm.
need to be conscious of what we're consuming and why are we seeking out information that challenges our viewpoints. Are we exploring genres and topics outside of our comfort zone?
And it's not just about the content itself, it's about the source too, right?
Yeah.
Like, are we getting our news and information from a variety of sources, or are we relying on just a few outlets that all have the same slant?
Absolutely. We need to diversify our media diet, so to speak, expose ourselves to a range of perspectives, even those we might not initially agree with. That's where real learning and growth can happen.
It makes you wonder if there's a way to balance the benefits of personalization with the importance of diversity and exposure to different viewpoints.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but some platforms are experimenting with features that give users more control over the level of personalization, so you can choose to inject more randomness and serendipity into your listening
Oh,
experience.
that's interesting. So it's like having the best of both worlds. You still get the convenience of personalized recommendations, but you also have the chance to stumble upon something unexpected.
Exactly. And let's not forget the role of human curation in all of this. Traditional radio, with its DJs and programmers, still plays a valuable role in exposing listeners to new music and ideas that they might not have found on their own.
Right, it's that element of surprise, that
Yeah.
feeling of hearing a song you've never heard before and instantly falling in love with it. Algorithms are good at predicting what we'll like based on past behavior, but they can't always anticipate those moments of serendipitous discovery.
Totally. And those moments can be really powerful. They can change our musical tastes and broaden our horizons.
And let's not forget about the social aspect of radio. It's not just about listening in isolation. It's about shared experiences, community, and connection.
You're right. Think about those times when everyone's talking about the same song they heard on the radio, or when a radio show sparks a conversation that ripples through a community. Those shared experiences create a sense of belonging and connection that's harder to find in the fragmented world of on-demand listening.
Yeah, it's true. And as we move further into the digital age, it's important to remember the value of those shared experiences. How do we foster that sense of community and connection in a world where everyone is increasingly plugged in to their own personalized audio bubbles?
That's a big question. It's a challenge for content creators and platform developers alike. How do we create spaces where people can connect with each other, share their listening experiences, and discover new things together?
Maybe it's about finding ways to blend the personalized with the communal. Like, imagine platforms that allow us to share our playlists and recommendations with friends, or virtual listening parties where we can experience music together in real time.
Those are great ideas, and don't underestimate the power of live events and concerts, even in a world dominated by digital audio. There's nothing quite like the collective energy of a live music experience.
It's about creating a space where everyone feels welcome, regardless of their musical taste or background.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a sense of inclusivity and celebrating the diversity of human experience through music and audio storytelling.
This has been such a great conversation. We've covered so much ground, from the rise of streaming platforms to the impact of algorithms on our listening habits, but we haven't even touched on some of the exciting new technologies that are shaping the future of radio.
Yeah, we still need to delve into the world of spatial audio, artificial intelligence, and the potential for even more immersive and personalized listening experiences.
It's amazing to think about how far radio has come and where it's headed, from those crackly boxes of our childhood to the boundless possibilities of the digital age. It's clear that radio's journey is far from over.
It's an evolving medium, constantly adapting and reinventing itself to meet the changing needs and desires of listeners. And as technology continues to advance, who knows what exciting new chapters lie ahead.
Yeah, it really is amazing. Like, we've gone from these, like, crackly AM signals to a world where we can almost like step inside the music.
Yeah, and that's where things are going, like deeper immersion. We talked a little about spatial audio, but it's really a game changer.
It is like, imagine listening to a symphony orchestra and you feel like you're right there in the concert hall. You can hear each instrument.
Yeah, and you can place them like, where the violins are and where the cellos are. It's amazing.
Like the VR for your ears.
Yeah, it is. And it's not just for music either. If you think about podcasts or audiobooks where you feel like you're in the room with the people talking.
Wow, that's going to be wild.
It is.
Okay, but what about artificial intelligence? We've talked about algorithms, picking our music, but can AI actually make music or podcasts?
Oh, it's already happening.
Really?
There are AI tools that can write music, compose music, generate sound effects. They can even write scripts.
Whoa.
There are even AI DJs.
AI DJs?
Yeah, that can curate personalized radio shows based on your listening habits.
Okay, that's both exciting and a little scary.
It is.
Is human creativity going to become obsolete?
That's the big question, right? I mean, AI is a powerful tool, but it's still just a tool.
Yeah.
I think it can help us be more creative, but it can't replace human creativity entirely, at least not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
It's hard to say what the future holds.
It feels like we're at this weird point where the line between human and machine creativity is getting blurry.
It is. It is.
So what does that mean for radio?
I think it means the possibilities are endless. I mean, we could see all sorts of hybrid formats that blend human and AI-generated content.
Right.
It could be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Like a whole new art form.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have to be careful too, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Who controls these AI tools and how do we make sure they're used ethically?
Right. We don't want to end up with algorithms that are just perpetuating existing biases.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is.
But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that the future of radio is really up to us.
How so?
As listeners, we have the power to shape this evolving landscape through the choices we make.
That's true.
Are we seeking out diverse voices and perspectives? Are we supporting independent creators and artists? Are we demanding that technology be used ethically and responsibly?
Those are all important questions.
Yeah, they are.
We need to be conscious of the impact our choices have.
Well, this has been a great conversation. We've covered so much.
It has.
From the history of radio to the impact of algorithms. And now we're looking at AI and spatial audio. It's mind-blowing.
It is.
It's clear that radio has come a long way from those old crackly boxes.
And it's going to keep evolving.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds, but it's exciting to think about.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of radio.
My pleasure.
And remember, the future of radio is being written every day. So turn up the volume, tune in to your favorite shows, and keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay relevant.